Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, this is Ammar. So our current course is Material Sciences and Engineering. Today is our first lecture with ME code 202. So we are in week 1 and we are going to study first chapter, that is about to introduce the fundamental concepts in Material Sciences and Engineering. Our course instructors for section A, B and C are Mr. Zar Khan, Assistant Professor, and me, Muhammad Ammar Akram, lecturer, High Tech University, Texala. We will be following a reference book that is from Material Sciences and Engineering, an introduction, and we will be using its 8th edition, that is about William D. Callister. So we have already uploaded this book on the Google Classroom. It is my request to all of the students, please join the respective Google Classroom, and we have made the combined Google Classroom for all the sections. So we have around about 196 students from mechanical engineering, and I hope so more than 175 students have joined this group, and 16 students have not yet joined. So it is my request to all, please join the group. So we will see in this lecture what is material science and engineering, the basic fundamental concepts of material science and engineering. For example, students should know before going for the most advanced topics. So we will go in detail with the material structures, and we will check out what are the main building blocks of the materials that make them to characterize for the specific properties. So we will learn out how to reshape different materials and what are the different arrangement of atoms that are basically acting behind for different mechanical, electrical, optic, magnetic and electric properties. And we will also go for how processing can change the structure. For example, if I am going to reshape steel structure and I have heated it for the certain temperature, then we can see if we will increase or decrease the cooling rate, we can similarly increase or decrease the hardness of the material, and we will see how the grain size structure will vary with the cooling rate. So here in this example, the basic structure was our steel. We have seen that the processing element was the changing the cooling rate, while we have seen how changing the processing properties of the structure have resultant in with different properties like hardness, toughness, ductility, brittleness and so on. So basically this course will help you people in order to understand what are the different properties of materials, and we will see that how we can select different materials depending upon the need of the society. There are also different softwares that are available for the analysis. So we will also go with the training of one of the software that is the most useful software worldwide, and we will see how we can select the most optimized material from the available candidates of the material. For example, if we have the limited resources with respect to money, and we already know what should be the desired hardness or toughness of the material, what should be the desired mechanical, electrical, optical, magnetic properties. So we will check out how to filter the available materials. You people are well familiar that almost 1,60,000 materials are known till now. So the job of engineer is to characterize the material that is most suitable for the given structure. So we will realize how to design opportunities with materials. For example, we people know how to reshape different fibers in different orientation, and we can make the composite materials, and then reshaping and changing the orientation of the fibers, we can vary the corresponding mechanical and conductive properties of the composite materials. So all of these things are very important, and we will see how structure properties are dependent upon the processing, and in the result we will see how processing is dependent upon the properties. So we will see, if we will change properties, we can change structure. And how we can change properties? We can change properties with respect to the processing. So we will check out what are the materials, what is material science, why should we know about it, what are the materials different societies with age. So we people know that materials are the building block of all the engineering branches, and without materials this engineering world is basically nothing. We will check out that in different age we people have existence of different materials within the society. For example, the initial stage was about the Stone Age, and then it was Bronze Age, and then after that it was the Iron Age. We are well familiar, but current stage we can see that all of the electrical, electronics, telecommunication instruments are based on the silicon, renewable energy, mechanical, mechatronics, all of them are dependent upon the silicon. So basic silica is the most prime component of the current age. In short, we can conclude. So what about polymers? They are light in weight and they have the specific properties, and their properties, for example, they are light in weight, some of them are also non-conductive as well, and they have the low melting points, so that's why they can be easily reshaped. So we can see what is the current application of the polymers materials in our society. For example, we people know that actually polymers are the organic molecules. They are made up of organic molecules. So we can see application of different silicons in case of silicon cells. For example, in the renewable energy, different silicon cells are either monocrystal or polycrystalline structures are used for the renewable energy resources. Similarly, we have discussed about the polymer age, and now it is the nano age. So nanomaterials are very important sources for the thermal energy storage. So they are usually used in the different phase change materials. So changing the thermal conductivity of these materials help in order to improve the thermal capability of the material. So in this way we can change the properties of the material in the desired need as well. So in current age we can see that nanomaterials are the most useful components, and almost most of the research areas, either electrical, mechanical or civil engineers, they are using these materials as well. So we can see the relationship between the structure, properties and processing. For example, in case of structure, we can for example, if we want performance like cost, optimal cost, longevity, reliability, efficiency, so these are the desired performance parameters. And what are the desired properties? For example, we want to achieve the specific thermal, mechanical, optical, electrical properties as well. Okay, so in order to achieve these properties, we need to go for a processing. For example, it either we are going for the cooling rate or heat treatment, or we can change the melting, smelting, sintering, chemical synthesis time as well. So change of rate will change the grain structure. Why grain structure will be changed? Because we know that we have a different kind of electronic bonding, atomic and molecular attraction forces, and that actually help to make the crystallographic materials in a crystalline form or a polycrystalline form. So this is how the internal structure properties like chemical bonds help to maintain the structure. So these structures are well affected by the processing, and processing can change the properties, and in this way how we can change the performance parameters of the desired material. Here we can see the best example. On x-axis is the cooling rate, and on the y-axis we people have hardness property. So material used is actually, we can see so actually it is the structure of a steel, and we can see that increasing the cooling rate, that is actually your processing property, and it is affecting the desired property of the material, for example mechanical. So when we will cool steel structure, in between this zone from 0.01 up to 0.01 degree C per second, then we will see that grain size will be about 30 micron meter, and we will see that these are very fine grains. Okay, and similarly we can see when we are increasing cooling rate, these grain structures are now converted into the long crystals, and finally here we can see that these structure basically, because of increase of cooling rate, it has the highest hardness point in case of a cooling rate near 1000 degrees C per second, and we can see that now the grain size are bigger than the previous ones. So this is how the cooling rate can affect the size of the grains, and in return it can affect the mechanical or corresponding magnetic, electrical, optical properties as well. So basically this is the materials concept map, and most of the people do not understand till end what are the basic differences between the metals and non-metals, and what are the basic classifications we people study here. So when we talk about material, then basically we talk about two types, either they are metallic or non-metallic. Okay, so if they are metallic, then they can be inorganic. Okay, and if they are non-metallic, then they can be either inorganic or organic. Okay, so the non-metallic can share both properties, either inorganic or organic, while metals will share inorganic property or they will be only metals. Here we can see. So similarly, if we will see further classification of inorganic and organic materials, then we will see they are either crystalline or amorphous. In crystalline materials, we will see that atoms will arrange in a proper fashion, and in case of the amorphous materials, we will see that atoms are randomly arranged in different groups. And similarly, when we will go for the further classification, we will see that synthetic process is also different, and it will result in either metals, ceramics or polymers. So we will see the properties of metals, ceramics and polymers in this class. And if we will go for naturally occurring crystalline and amorphous materials, then we will see different minerals, rocks, fossil fuels, and plant, animals, fiber. They are all playing their role in naturally occurring crystalline and amorphous materials, while synthetic materials are metals, ceramics and polymers, and they combine are also used for the with the shape of the alloys as well. So here we can see this is the thresh can, and we can see that it may be of the if we will do brainstorming, then we can see that what are the desired properties. For example, it should be metallic, it should be inorganic, similarly crystalline and synthetic. So this is basically the concept map, and it is basically meeting the family of metals. Similarly, we can see the rust case. So in case of the rust case, because in case of metals there was a problem, so if we will be going for non-metallic, it will be either inorganic, crystalline, naturally occurring and mineral as well. So crystalline ceramic, this is the desired class that we need. Now we will see the another third classification, for example liner. In case of liner, we will see that it will be non-metallic, organic, amorphous, synthetic and polymer as well. So polymer is the desired class. So we have seen that this problem can be solved using three types of materials: metals, ceramics and polymers, and all of them have different effect on the material. Metals, they were for example metallic class family like iron, aluminium, copper, nickel, but what will be the problem? They are susceptible to corrosion, so that's why it is problem for us. So in case of polymers, we can see they are made up of organic molecules like carbon and hydrogen. So best examples are polyethylene, polycarbonate as well, PE and PC. So they are soft and ductile, okay, and different drinking bottles etc., they are all made up of polymers. And in case of ceramics, we people can see that they are the compounds of metals and non-metals, okay. So different percentage from metals and different percentage from non-metals react together. Examples are oxides, carbides and nitrides in case of ceramics. For example, silica or silicon carbide, and similarly silicon nitride as well. But what is the problem with ceramics? They are brittle. They are brittle. And what is the best point with ceramics? They are resistant to the high temperatures. So we can see what are the desired properties, and again the desired properties we can see what are pros and cons. So we can see this is the type of material. Metals are strong and ductile. They have high thermal and electrical conductivity, and they are opaque and reflective. Common example includes iron, aluminium, copper, nickel. So they have high electrical and thermal properties. They are highly electrical conductive as well, and also their thermal conductivity is very high as compared to ceramics and polymers. But what is the problem? Problem is that they are corrosive materials. Okay, this is the best example. So in case of polymers, internal atomic bonding is the covalent bond, where there is a sharing of electrons. So material will be ductile in case of polymers. In case of metals, it was also ductile, but it was strong. But in case of polymers, it will be ductile but soft. Why soft? Because in case of polymers, we will see atomic bond is covalent, and also they are thermal electrical insulators, and they are optically translucent and transparent as well. So basically polymers are the organic molecules. They are organic molecules. Example includes carbon, hydrogen, etc. And we have heard different names with polyethylene and polycarbonate, PC. This is polyethylene, this is polycarbonate. These are all the examples of the polymers. They are soft and ductile. Different drinking bottles and food packaging is done with the help of polymers materials. So what are ceramics? They basically they are the compounds of metals and non-metals like oxides, carbides and nitrides, and they have ionic bonding. They are non-conducting, brittle and glassy structure in case of ceramics. And one of the best property that they are resistant to high temperature. They are resistant to high temperature. So glass bottles, best example. So sometimes we have to use the mixture of different materials in the form of alloys as well. Metals combine with each other. So we can see different steam and gas turbine blades, compressor blades are made up of alloys. Similarly, this is the crystalline structure. Similarly, we can see the car wheels, pressure cookers and other composite materials that are used for the armament vehicles as well, and also the in case of armament cloths as well, and different ball structures and sport structures are also made up of composites nowadays. So this is the silicon age semiconductor, you can say silicon age. So one of the best application in the form of solar cells. They have a structure of polycrystalline and molycrystalline, and cell efficiency depends upon the arrangement which type you are using. So OLED technology, one of the best application of the semiconductors as well. Here we can see the example of the artificial hip implant, and in this case you can see that sometimes Sometimes there is the illness, joints deteriorate because of that, because of the higher age, the joints, leg joints and hip joints become so weak that the patient is suffering with the severe pain and fever. So what we can do, we can in case of fracture and either for the case of the replacement, we can go for the artificial implant. So what should be the desired properties for the artificial case? For example, when we will look inside, this structure basically connected with the spine, and spine is connected with the pelvis, and basically this structure is in contact with the head and ball of the femur. So mostly this joint of the people is very critical, and because of the higher resistance with age, this kind of joint becomes so painful for them, and it is the desired property for them to replace this kind of joint in order to go for the smooth life. So what should be the property of the this kind of replacement material? So what is the requirement? We will go for the selection of material. We have the number of materials available. Till now more than 1,60,000 materials are known. So these materials are known till now, and also we are going for the alloys and composite materials as well. Now we have to look for the what will be the required cost. Okay, so we can say optimal cost in this case. It should not be very expensive, but it should meet the desired criteria of mechanical property, lubricity property, and biocompatibility. What is meant by mechanical property? It should be it can withstand many cycles, good lubricity, and similarly biocompatibility. What is meant by biocompatibility? I am using the material like the alloy type, but it should not be reactive with the body tissues and blood cells as well, and it should maintain its life throughout. It should not be reactive. So biocompatibility is also a very big issue, and we have to overcome. So we can see the pelvis and ball structure. So the property of ball structure should be like, for example, here we can see the implant. So different ball and pelvis and femur stem structures will be made up of different alloys, and these alloys will be having the desired properties. So we can see the key problems to overcome: fixation agent to hold the acceptable cup. So actually this cup and liner should be in such a way that when there will be to and fro movement, it should be with minimum resistance. So femoral stem fixing agent, so it will be fixed part. So we with respect to this, we will be using the desired properties, and we will be using different composite materials and alloys in order to get the desired biomedical properties, mechanical properties, and lubricant properties as well. So we can see application of materials in biomimetics as well. Biomimetics. Some paints and roof tiles have been engineered to be self-cleaning by copying into mechanism from the lotus. Nanotechnology. The art and science of build stuff that is stuff at the nanometer scale. So at the nanometer scale, different particles that are light in weight and also easily available but are sometimes expensive. So depending upon the desired property, they are mixed with the corresponding material, and in this way also we can change the mechanical, electrical, thermal properties as well. So they are comprised of nanostructures, and these nanostructures are easily visible using the electron microscopes or the and the million time resolution can also be achieved using the scanning electron microscope. So these nanomaterials that possess at least one dimensions that measures approximately less than 100 nanometer and exhibit novel properties. So we can see size comparison. Diameter of our hair varies from 50 kilo to 100 kilo nanometer, and our nail size grows 1 nanometer in 1 second. Yes, it is acceptable. And a line of 10 hydrogen atoms lined up side by side is 1 nanometer long. So we can see, depending upon the size, how important is the resolution power of the microscope, and in this way only we can see the growth of different materials as well. So we can see the synthesis of the nanostructures, and when we will explore the properties, then we can change the desired structure, and in this way changing the processing properties like cooling rate, heat treatment, and it will result in the different chemical bonds, and in this way we can change the testing properties. So using the characterization we will see how the desired testing and processing can change the structure of the material, and we can we can get the desired structure or property of the material as well. So we can see by changing the desired testing properties we can get the structural properties as well. Why testing is very important in case of materials? Testing is sometimes performed using the simulation software. I will also introduce the software at the end of the third lecture, inshallah. And you people will see that number of materials are available, and we will put the desired properties, and we will see actually what should be the desired weight of the material, what should be the strength of the material, what should be its brittle or ductile behavior, and similarly we will put out its conductive thermal properties as well, and then we will see the software will scan out and it will check out what should be the desired available material out of the discovered materials till now. So software will suggest us the most useful material that is optimal for us. So depending upon the availability, and it will show us different types of materials that will be meeting our criteria, and then depending upon the markets values we will select the desired material as well. So testing is very important in this case by simulation and practically as well, because actually we people want to know, being engineers, why the chemical behavior and how the atomic structure arrangement, for example how the atoms are arranged within the structures, if they are properly aligned, and if they are in the form of a single crystal. So if it will be in the form of single crystal, you will see that atoms will be arranged in a particular plane. So this is the property of the single crystal, and in case of polycrystal you will see that atoms will be arranged in the form of different groups as well. So in this group maybe atoms will be like arrangement will be like this, in this group atoms arrangement will be like this, and in this group atoms arrangement will be like this. In different planes arrangement will be different. So here there will be a kind of another arrangement. So these kind of materials are basically polycrystals. So we want to understand what are the desired planes and points and directions of the different atoms materials in the case, and they are actually defining the desired properties of the materials. So at the atomic level we are interested to find out the desired properties. So we explore speculate applications. So when material is decided, and we have find out the desired structure of the material, then we can check out where this material is helpful. So in this way we can discover different materials and the application for the desired society as well. So materials are very important for the environment, and in every environment like stone age, bronze age, and nowadays you can say silicon or a nanotechnology age. So materials are everywhere, and they are the building blocks of the all engineering applications. So they vary from nanometer to the specific size, and depending upon the bond length and energy bonds, they produce the desired properties. We are always interested to reduce cost and weight and size, but the strength property and other desired properties should not be compromised. And also nowadays we have the specific type of you people can say specific type of machines are available, like SEM, you can say scanning electron microscope, and we can get million time resolution for the single atomic arrangement as well. So here we can see some current applications of the nanotechnology. Nanotechnology enhancement for the solar cells. So basically in our university we are also working on this kind of projects, and we can see how the using different nanomaterials we can improve the thermal storage ability of the solar panels as well. So basic purpose is to improve efficiency and to minimize the cost and increase the flexibility. Okay, here we can see the application of the nanotechnology with electrical and computing. So different electronic chips you people can observe here. Now they are small in size, compact in size, but fast processing speed. So these computer chips are very important. And also nowadays you can see different controllers like PLC controllers, and they are also available in compact size and performing the multiple tasks. So also the main purpose of the advancement, you can see we have also improved the memory. Okay, so we can see the processor power and memory is also improved using the nano size features. So you people can see behind the fast processing speed property and small size, the major problem was in old ages these kind of boards become heat up because of the release of heat. So these kind of components basically they burn out. So this was also a problem. So in order to avoid that, nowadays different type of paste materials are available like PCMs, phase change materials, and they are used in combination with the other materials in such a way that they act as a thermal management materials. So they absorb the extra amount of heat until and unless they will change their phase and release the absorbed amount of heat in the very small rate and for a long time. In this way these kind of electronic chips and boards are now very valuable. So novel carbon based nanomaterials carry away heat generated by sensitive electronics. So I also have novel contribution in such a way, and that one of our research group, we worked in the UT Tesla. We have the published research work on this kind of field. So you can check You can check out these papers on the Google Scholar. Let me show you people the corresponding links. So you can see this was the review paper on the nanoparticles and enhanced phase change materials, and this was the another critical review on the hybrid phase change materials, and similarly this was the experimental work previously we were discussing. Experimental investigation on the graphene based nanoparticles and enhanced phase change materials for thermal management of electronic equipments. So also some of the other papers on the vibration analysis are also given, so you people can go through. So you can also see the application of nanotechnology in clothing. They are anti-odor, stain resistance, moisture control, and UV protection. So these properties are controlled in this way. Similarly, in case of batteries, high energy storage, longer life, and a safe alternative. So in case of sports and good equipments, you can see that strength has been increased and they are now lightweight because of the application of nano composites. Similarly, in case of the cars, you people can see the increase in strength of the materials and light in weight materials. So fuel ratio is also improved, and the cars are covering the higher mileage because of the improved power to weight ratio. Similarly, in case of the food and beverages, they are the packing used is antibacterial, and they can be stored for the long time, and similarly better environment friendly packing is also available. Similarly, you can see in case of environment, the impact of nanotechnology on environment is also very green energy, because it is a green energy control, so its effect is very cool. So it has improved the ability of the capture groundwater contaminants, etc., replacement of toxic materials using these kind of materials as well. So some other applications you can see in case of the body armor. Similarly, drug delivery you can also see, and in case of the cancer cells, you people can see earlier detection can be performed. Specialized nanoparticles that target the cancer cells only. These nanoparticles can be easily imaged to find the small tumors. So in this way we can go for the treatment of the small tumors using nanoparticles. Improved treatments, infrared light that shines on the body is absorbed by the specialized nanoparticle in the cancer cells only, leading to an increased localized temperature that selectively kills the cancer cells. So in this way the one of the most uncurable disease, cancer, is nowadays curable. So it is just because of materials. People are searching materials day by days, and they are improving the corresponding properties in this way. So here you can see different grain boundaries and the arrangement of the cells. So sensors technology, sensors, actuators. So actually the whole instrumentation is based on materials. So wherever you people will go, you people will see the application of materials. So higher sensitivity can be achieved using the very small sensors, and they are also biological toxins, chemical detection of chemicals can also be performed. Similarly, radiation, diseases, etc. Different kind of sensors are available, like the force sensor, temperature sensors, pressure sensors, vibration measurement sensors like accelerometers, etc. Similarly, actuators are also available, and using the Arduino and other controllers like Raspberry Pi, we can get the desired commands and similarly the required reactions from the sensors and actuators. So next generation computing is throughout depending upon the discovery of new materials, and we will see that the more smaller light in weight and compact materials will be there, and the life of the material will also be optimized, and cost will be also very lowest, and they also have a capability to perform high processing and higher memory will be there. So nanorobotics is basically the revolution of this field. So you can look into this field in very detail by the shared book. So carbon nanotube based gas is also one of the application. So water purification can also be performed using this. They are lower cost, low energy use, easier contamination removal, okay, and improved desalination methods. So basically the particles arrange with each other and they form a purification layer that allow only the pure water to pass through. So we can see overall application of nanotechnology enhancement in case of solar cells, batteries, fuels, hydrogen storage, CO2 emission reduction, nanomaterials that do a better job removing CO2 from the power plant exhaust. Similarly, strong, more efficient power transmission cables synthesized with the nanomaterials. So basically materials are nothing but engineered structures. So material engineers, metallurgy department, they are working very good. They are not black boxes. So they have to discover new materials and improve the properties and detect the desired ability of the material where they can be used. So structure has many dimensions. So we have to look for the structure features, atomic bonding, crystalline structures and textures and so on. So how to select different materials? It depends upon the application. First of all, look for what should be the desired properties. In case of desired properties, we will go for what should be the mechanical, electrical, optical, magnetic, decorative properties. So basically what are decorative properties? They are nothing but they are the chemical resistivity of the material like corrosion. So sometime when a material is within the environment, so because of the chemical reactions it is friendly to the corrosion. So chemical reaction for the corrosion results in such a way that material is used by the environment and it is inducing cracks and also different kind of faults within materials. So chemical reactivity of the material like corrosion is nothing but it is its deteriorative property. Similarly, properties identify candidate. So I have already talked about that we have 1,60,000 materials available plus materials available till now, and we cannot use all the materials and it is very difficult for us to filter out the desired material. So first of all, after the selection of the desired application properties, then we go for identifying the candidate materials. So after selection of candidate materials, we people will see what should be the material structure composition, and then we will apply the different processing techniques. What should be its change structure and overall shape, for example casting, sintering, vapor deposition, doping, forming, joining, annealing. These are all heat treatments processes. So using these processes we can select the desired material that is pre-processed for the properties like this, and then depend also another factor is the cost. So also we look for all of them and then we select the most optical properties, and cost should also be very suitable. So we can see here the electrical property. Copper is a very good conductor. And we can see here that with increase in temperature, if we will increase temperature, we will see that resistivity property of the material will increase, it will go higher. So you can see here in case of pure copper, when material is at minus 200 degrees C, its resistance is very small, and at 0 degrees C, its resistance is about, you people can see here, it is about 1.3 1.4 ohm. So if we will increase impurity content like nickel, let's check what will be the effect on the resistivity. Here we can see when we have improved the nickel content by 1.12%, then the resistivity of the copper with temperature is improved. Now look here, the nickel content is copper, this was a copper, and this is a deformed form of copper with the same impurity content, and again you can see that resistivity is increased with increasing temperature. Similarly, you can see that with the highest impurity level of 3.32, copper is showing the very high resistance against 0 degree centigrade. So this means if resistance will increase, current flow will decrease and body will heat up. So that means if we are using the pure copper winding, then we will have the less heat generated. But if different impurities like nickel are used with different concentration, then we can say that resistivity may change with change in the temperature. So that's why we can say adding impurity atoms to copper increase resistivity. Deforming copper also increase resistivity. So this is another example of the optical property. You can see most of the materials that are single crystal or polycrystal. So how they behave, that transmittance. For example, we can talk about aluminum oxide, Al2O3, or we also call it alumina. So it exists in three types of optical properties. One of them is totally transparent, another one is translucent, and another one is opaque. We will see in case of transparent, it is completely visible. Why? Because it is a single crystalline structure. So you will see the atomic arrangement will be in a proper plane. So that's why single crystal behavior of aluminum oxide will make it to behave completely transparent. So it is your single crystal example. Okay, now go for the polycrystal. In case of polycrystal, for example, here you can see that its property will be translucent. Translucent means it will be half visible and half invisible, and in these cases atomic arrangement is mostly in the form of groups. So you will see the boundary grains, and these boundary grains will be showing different properties depending upon the orientation of atoms. So atomic arrangement may be different in different regions. So that's why they will show low porosity, and thus the behavior will be translucent. And in case of the polycrystal but high porosity, what is meant by high porosity? High porosity means, for example, if this is the boundary grain, And for example, if in this part you will see atom will be arranged, but they will have the small pores and spaces. For example, this arrangement, if this is the arrangement, then you will observe that there will be the existence of pores. So, because of the existence of the pores, we will see here, here, here. So, it is very highly porous polycrystal. So, because of the presence of spaces, material will become completely opaque. So, it will show opaque property. Okay. So, this is the deteriorative explanation of the stressed material. You can see that this bar is under stress and it is placed under the salt water. And you people can see, because of the bending stress, what will happen? Cracks will be generated because of the environment. Actually, what will happen? There will be the chemical reaction under the stress form. So, what will happen? The chemical reactivity of the material will be active and it will result in corrosion. And as a result, the structure will be removed and it will be eaten by the environment, and in result it will weak out the structure and cracks will be generated, and these cracks will generate with time and they will increase in length, and the desired strength of the material will be decreasing with time. So, if we want to get relief of these stresses, we have to go material with the heat treatment. So, what is heat treatment? Basically, heat treatment is a process in which material will be heated for a specific time at a specific temperature. So, what will happen after the heat treatment? You will see that there will be a stress release. So, if this is the arrangement, you will see, and if this is the crack growth, because of the stress release, this part of the material will be adjoined again. So, basically stresses will be released and atoms will rearrange, and in this way we can improve the remaining useful life. And optimal life obviously depends upon that design factor of safety was according to the desired load and the environmental conditions as well. And here you can see the example that if material is heat treated and after the heat treatment material is under the load. So, you will see this is the blue line showing without heat treatment. Without heat treatment, you can see that crack growth speed is very high in case of without heat treatment, but in case of the heat treatment, when material is heated up to 160 degrees C for 1 hour, and you can see that the crack growth speed is now reduced. So, this is how we can improve the remaining useful life of any material. So, the example shown above is in case of the aluminium alloy. What is meant by alloy? It is the mixture of different materials or metals. So, today's summary of the lecture is using the right material for the right job. We have seen how to check the processing properties in order to get the desired structure of the material, and how to recognize the new design opportunities, and how to select the optimal material for the projects. So, lot of the incidents happen in daily life because of the materials failure. One of the incident that take place was basically the Titanic ship failure, and you people know when you will look into the books, you will see that because why Titanic ship was material was failure, what was were the main causes. When you will look into the books, you will see that the material that was basically used for the composition was basically a ductile material, but the property of this material was uh, from 0 degree C plus. So basically problem was that this property was for this temperature. And in case of the polymorphism theory, you people will see in coming lectures, we will learn for the what is polymorphism. It is the existence of same material in different formats like alpha iron, gamma iron, beta iron at different temperatures. So at different temperatures, atomic arrangement change and body may change its structure into the simple cubic, body centered cubic, face centered cubic, hexagonal packing, and so on. So their planes and structures change and the corresponding properties also change. So material may if one material is brittle at the 15 degree C, it may become ductile at some other temperature as well. So basically the material they were using in the ship was brittle at ductile at 0 degree C and plus temperatures. But what had happened, the ship was moving in a very lower temperature. For example, it was meeting the freezing point and temperature was going in negative. So because of that, the ductile material property was converted into the brittle. So you people know brittle materials normally fail if they absorb the highest amount of energy because they have the proper. When we will look for the stress to strain curve in order to understand the failure of the material. So if you will go for the ductile material, you will see they show a proper, they do not show any kind of deformation. So you will see that brittle materials they will show a necking and then this kind of failure. So basically brittle materials can absorb large amount of energy, but the release will be release of energy will be abrupt failure of the material. So that's why these kind of materials are normally not preferred. So there should be early failure detection. So this kind of behavior is not observed in case of the ductile materials. So that's why the negative temperature of the undersea water result in the conversion of the atomic structure, and the material changed its properties from the ductile to brittle behavior. And when the when there was the strike of the ship with the iceberg, you people have known from the books, and then what had happened, it has absorbed the large amount of energy and the release of energy was in the form of development of cracks. So cracks were developed within the material. Why cracks were developed? To release energy. So basically cracks develop in the material to release energy they have absorbed under stress. So the maximum amount of energy can be released in the form of development of cracks, but because of the development of cracks, sometimes they become so long in length that they are very dangerous for the structure. So these cracks were of the long size, and because of the larger size of the cracks, the water pour out into the ship in hours and it was filled up, and it had changed the matter center point and the matter centric height as well. So because of the buoyancy concept, says the center of mass and matter centric point where the mass of ship basically lies, so it will change, and this change in length will basically make the ship unstable. So that's why the incident result in the death of more than 2500 people. So that's why selection of material is very important. Not only this, we have seen also the failure of bridges, buildings, structures, lot of incidents are there, and history is created with the failure of materials. So we people should first of all go with the basics of materials. So this is basically our lecture 1, and we have gone through the application of materials, types of materials in detail. So in coming lectures, inshallah, we will go for the crystallization of the materials, how materials can be behave as a metal, ceramic or polymers, what are the corresponding atomic arrangements, and how they can synthesize the different planes, directions and points, and corresponding associated properties. So we will see in future lectures. So we will inshallah cover maximum topics from the Callester book, and our focus will be on different kind of materials like metal, ceramics, polymers, composite materials, and then we will see inside the structure as well, and we will also go for the software. You will see that we will be using CES software, CES software for the materials. This software will help us to filter the materials depending upon the need. So we will see when we will define the desired chemical, electrical, optical, mechanical, magnetic properties, then CES software will filter out the desired materials out of the available list, and in this way how we can select the desired material. So different materials have different applications. Like in case of polymers, you can see polymers are excellent to wear, and they are also oxidation resistant. Okay, so polymers are oxidation resistant, and also they are very good behavior to the excessive wear. Okay, so they can be used for the development of different materials depending upon these properties. So problem with metals is overcome in case of polymers. Similarly, we will see where we will need the very high temperature. So for example, in case of the spaceships, you people will see the material will be very porous, and why it will be porous? So that it cannot be so heat up, and you will see that porous material will be 90% pores, and 10% remaining will be silica and other materials, alloys there. So this is how the different thermal properties are also controlled out. So if we want to, every material that is in the environment, so when we will place it, it will be under stress, and as a result what will happen, it will generate cracks generation. And how we can avoid cracks? We can avoid cracks with heat treatment. Okay, so depending upon the application of materials and the desired properties, we will be using them in a very detailed way. So please go with one of the very important video with respect to this lecture.
In this video, we will discuss the basic concepts of material science and why understanding them is such a critical part of engineering. There are various topics we will talk about to help provide a basic understanding of material science, which will include the structure of materials, different material properties, and different types of materials. As an engineer, it is important to understand how these areas link together and what the effects of different materials are under certain conditions. We will start by looking at the structure of materials, which can be viewed at different levels. The structure of a material helps define its properties, for instance, its strength, toughness, ductility, hardness, or corrosion resistance, which we will look at later. Firstly, there is the atomic structure, which looks at how the atoms which constitute the material are arranged within it. When we talk about the atomic scale, we typically mean 10 to the minus 10 meters. There are two types of structure at this level, crystalline and amorphous. A crystalline structure is any structure of ions, molecules or atoms that are held together in an ordered three-dimensional arrangement. A non-crystalline structure is known as amorphous. The next layer of visibility is the microstructure, which can be seen on a nanometer to centimeter scale. This can be seen under a microscope and looks at how different crystalline structures bond together to make a crystal. A crystal is also known as a grain. Finally, there is the macrostructure, and this is observable with the naked eye and looks larger than the crystals. Crystals, or grains, make up the atomic arrangement of a material. The smallest group characterizing the crystal structure is defined as the unit cell. The crystal structure of a material defines its properties and its behavior. There are three basic atomic arrangements, which are as follows. Body-centered qubit, otherwise known as BCC. This is seen in metals such as chromium and tungsten. Next arrangement is face-centered qubit, or FCC, and this is seen in metals such as aluminium and copper. The next atomic arrangement is hexagonal close packs, and this is seen in metals such as magnesium and zinc. It is worth noting that all three atomic arrangements can be modified to enhance material properties, as some materials have more than one crystalline structure present, which is known as polymorphism. When a crystal is subjected to an external force, it first undergoes elastic deformation, whereby it returns to its original shape when the load is removed. If the load is increased, the plastic then undergoes plastic deformation, which is when it changes shape permanently. The two mechanisms that allow for plastic deformation to occur are the movement of slip planes, when a plane of atoms slips over an adjacent plane under shear stress, and twinning, when a part of the crystal structure forms a mirror image of itself across the twinning plane. Twinning only occurs in HCP metals. To understand the movement of slip planes in more detail, we must understand the slip systems within each crystalline structure. Imperfections and defects within the crystal structure of materials account for differences between the theoretical and actual material properties. Types of imperfections include vacancies, dislocations, grain boundaries, and bulk imperfections. Vacancies are where there is a missing atom or an impurity, otherwise known as a foreign atom, in the material. Dislocations are where there are defects in the ordered crystalline arrangement of the atomic structure, and these come in two different types, edge and screw dislocations. Grain boundaries are the interfaces between the individual grains or crystals, and these interfere with the movement of dislocations. And bulk imperfections include voids, inclusions, other phases, or cracks. The grain size also has a large influence on the material's mechanical properties, as larger grain sizes are typically associated with low strength, low hardness and low ductility. Amorphous metals, typically alloys, are glass-like with a non-crystalline, disordered atomic structure, as opposed to an ordered structure in crystalline materials. Plastics. Thermoplastics, such as polypropylene, ABS, and nylons, are plastics made up of long chain molecules that soften at elevated temperatures and solidify upon cooling. The intermolecular forces between the polymer chains weaken with increased temperature, allowing for the material to be easily reshaped in processes such as injection molding and extrusion. Conversely, thermosets, such as epoxies, form irreversible chemical bonds during a curing cross-linking reaction process and do not melt when heated or reform upon cooling. Elastomers, such as rubbers and silicons, are amorphous polymers with weak intermolecular forces and low modulus of elasticity values. Additives in plastic can enhance material properties such as flexibility, colour and flammability. Ceramics. Ceramics are non-metallic materials that can be crystalline, amorphous, or both. They are typically hard and chemically inert materials. They are formed with heat, and some examples are glass, graphite, and nanomaterials. Composites. Composites combine properties of different materials as they are made up of a polymer matrix and reinforcing materials. The matrix protects the fibres from the environment and transfers the load to the fibres. The fibres impart strength and stiffness to the material. Examples include carbon fibre, reinforced plastic and laminates. Now we'll look at material properties, starting with mechanical properties, tensile and compressive strength. For most materials used in mechanical engineering, such as metals and plastics, tensile strength is approximately equal to compressive strength, although this is not the case in civil engineering, where concrete, for example, has a much higher compressive strength value than tensile. When stretched up to the elastic limit, a material will return to its original shape once the applied tension is removed. This can be illustrated using a stress-strain curve, where stress is the force per unit cross-sectional area and the strain is the increase in length per unit length of the material. For most materials, the yield point is just beyond the elastic limit. Tensile and compressive strength values, especially for plastics, can vary greatly depending on temperature. The length of time a plastic is stressed for can also affect whether it will return to its original shape. If the material is stressed for too long, even below its elastic limit, it will gradually deform as the molecular structure changes, and this is known as creep. This is very difficult to predict, but design engineers must be aware of this effect. Ductility. As previously mentioned, the ductility of a material is linked to its ability to undergo plastic deformation. This is affected by the number of slip planes within the crystalline structure, as well as the number of dislocations, impurities, and perfections. Elasticity. The modulus of elasticity can be calculated from the gradient of a stress-strain curve up to the elastic limit. It describes the amount of deformation a material can be subjected to under load while still returning to its original shape afterwards. The value is higher for stiffer materials as the slope is steeper. Hardness. Hardness is a measure of resistance to localized plastic deformation, which can occur by either impacts or abrasion. Strong intermolecular bonds promote hardness, although it is dependent on ductility, elasticity, and strength of a material, amongst other properties. Diamond is one of the hardest materials, which is why it is used to mill metallic parts. Fatigue. Fatigue is the tendency of a material to fracture due to a cyclic load which is below the material strength. An example would be the failure of aluminium bicycle forks, failing after multiple compression cycles. Companies run both computerized and physical simulation to reduce the possibility of such failures. Microscopic cracks first develop before propagating until they reach a critical length, at which point fracture failure occurs. Toughness of a material is its ability to absorb energy and undergo plastic deformation without fracturing. Examples of tough material include rubbers, ceramics, and metals or alloys. Fracture. Fracture is a form of failure in which the material separates due to stress at temperatures below the melting point. The fracture can either be ductile or brittle depending on whether the elongation is large or small respectively. Ductile fracture begins with the initial necking of the material with small cavities or voids forming. These voids then grow and the crack propagates around the necking region before final shear fracture. With brittle fracture, there is little deformation and crack propagation is rapid. Brittle fractures are far more dangerous as there can be little to no warning that the material will fail. To account for this, testing must be performed and factors of safety applied to the design. Next we'll look at physical and chemical properties. Density. Density is the mass per unit volume. The more compact an object, the denser it will be. Melting point. The melting temperature at which a solid becomes a liquid. For a given substance, the melting point of its solid form is the same as its freezing point of a liquid form. Thermal conductivity. The thermal conductivity of a material is a measure of its ability to conduct heat. Thermal expansion. Thermal expansion is the tendency of a material to change its shape, area, and volume in response to a change in temperature. Electrical conductivity. The degree to which a material conducts electricity, calculated as the ratio of current density in the material to the electric field which causes the flow of current. Material properties can be modified through a range of processes such as heat treatment, reinforcements, and tempering, amongst others. We will go into detail about property modification in a future episode. Now that we understand the basics, we will look into further detail in future videos in our Material Science series. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to
So in this video we have seen the basic definitions that we people have seen in the different courses like mechanics of material 1, mechanics of material 2, design of machine elements and other mechanical subjects as well. So if you people have gone through the basic definitions, these are the I think these are the basics you people should revise before going for the engineering material subject. So this is the conclusion of lecture is that in addition to the lecture 1, inshallah in coming week your lecture 2 will be uploaded, and we will be discussing the different types of chemical bonds and how there is the sharing of the electrons, and we will go for the different models for the presence of electrons, what are the different available energy shells, what was the Bohr's model, and we will look into the basics of the engineering chemistry. And not only this, we will go for the what are the ionic bond, covalent bond, coordinate covalent bond, and what are the coordination numbers for them, and what is the percentage ionic reactor for all. And we will also look into the periodic table for the initial stages as well. So our second lecture will be on this, and third lecture is about the crystallization. So this is your book we people are following, Material Science and Engineering, 8th edition by William D. Clyster. And these are the topics we people have covered today in week 1 lecture 1. We have seen the historical perspective, material science and engineering, why we study materials, what is the classification of materials and importance of materials, what are the advanced materials like nanomaterials, so modern materials needs and processing structure properties and so on. So I have explained all the subheadings in detail, so you can see everything is described in detail. So inshallah in coming lecture we will go for the chapter 2, that is about the atomic structure and interatomic bonding, and we will be discussing atomic structure, atomic bonds in the solids. Yes, till here. Thank you very much for your time.